Ready? Good morning and welcome to the July 18th, 2017 Wright County Board meeting. We'll begin this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. The minutes from our July 11th board meeting, does anyone have any additions, corrections, or I will entertain a motion?
Mr. Chair, I have one thing I'd like to add for the record.
Sure.
At that meeting, we did rescind a resolution that was previously adopted. At the time of the meeting, I didn't have that number with me. So on the second page, it'd be third paragraph, second line to the end. Lee Kelly said the original resolution passed, which was Resolution 17-21, adopted on April 25th, 2017, should be rescinded.
Okay. And we'll add that in then?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Is there any objection? Okay, seeing none, that's done. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Second. With the addenda.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Delyden, second by Commissioner Potter to approve the minutes with the addition. Our coordinator. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. The agenda for today.
Morning, Commissioners. I know I'm the only one on the agenda today, but I do have an addition. It's a FYI. Becky, I sent you guys a memo regarding the License Bureau. I'd just like to address that at the board meeting. So,
just as far as an informational
just
thing?
informational with anticipating what's coming up here.
No problem.
Okay, good. Chair will move approval of the agenda with that little informational addition.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Vetch. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent agenda for today. Does anyone have anything they would like removed for further consideration?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second that. Motion by Commissioner Delyden, second by Commissioner Potter to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. A little after 9 o'clock here. Mr. Robert Hevala, Auditor Treasurer. Good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, Board. Okay, the first item on the agenda is just an informational release. Our 2016 CAFR is completed. I do want to acknowledge Lindsay Meyer. She really put that thing together. In the past, we had hired Clifton Larson to compile the financials. With Lindsay coming on the first year, we had that contract with Clifton to continue it. But darn it, she said, Bob, we can do this. I said, if you can do it, then we'll cancel that contract. Remember, we did cancel that contract with Clifton. So the culmination of all that work and effort, we've given the financial statements to the OSA. We've gotten our opinion back from them. And we have posted to the 2016 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report called the CAFR out on our website.
Okay, and then Bob, how much was that savings to the county then by having Lindsay do that?
Well, $5,000.
Okay.
She's willing to take half of that if you guys are considering it.
How about if we just say thank you, Lindsay?
And two
Really
Atta girls.
appreciate it, yeah.
Right, two Atta girls, not doing two.
Right. And Board, and again, what's nice about it is, we've enhanced the financial reports. It does meet the GASB, the GFOA recommendation. So we've submitted again for that program. So I fully have every anticipation that we'll get that certificate again. So.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. You'll find them on the financial statements on our website. Okay. The second item on the agenda is to set a committee of the whole. I felt that it would be prudent to have a committee of the whole. We did a Kaizen event here at the county. It was all about automating accounts payable. It touched every department. So I'd like to present that kind of as a precedence for you as far as these Kaizen events that affect enterprise type of solutions. So I'd like to set a committee of the whole to talk about AP automation, what we did, what we gleaned from it, and where we can go from there. Also setting the tone of where we can do this with other avenues of accounting or anything.
Bob, do you have some recommended dates at all?
I don't. I know we're coming up to the budget schedule, so we're going to try to squeeze this in there.
Should we do that now, Lee, or?
Well, a couple different thoughts. Knowing next week is committee week, we could look at after the board meeting. I do recognize that also farther down the agenda that there is a request to schedule another committee of the whole to discuss the Infotech study, which was kind of targeted for the later morning on the 24th. So that could
We
also
can't
be
do anything.
Tuesday's nuclear, so we're, you know,
Like, yeah, Tuesday, two of us will be involved with the nuclear drill.
We could do it Wednesday afternoon.
I have emergency services board
Yeah.
that day.
And there's also a Met Council meeting on the extended area.
Oh,
Probably should be
yeah.
attending.
Also, that's the beginning of the
County
fair.
fair.
Fair is Wednesday, starts Wednesday. Is it prudent to have it now, or could we have it on the 8th
8th of August?
or 9th,
Or-
other committee day?
Lindsay won't be here next week. She is an integral part of that, so we could go the,
can't we do it the first?
You'd have to go to an afternoon, probably.
You would
We're already
have to
here
do
at
an
1
afternoon.
o'clock for committee of the whole on the first. We
I
can't,
have
we just,
a meeting at 1.
oh, you mean, you want, you're,
We don't have one at 1.
I
we do. Administrator,
No, that's 10:30 to 11:30.
oh, 10:30, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right, 10:30, 11:30.
But I have a FEMA meeting at
Okay.
1 o'clock.
Is the 8th, if it's not too late, I mean,
After a board meeting?
after our board meeting on the 8th?
Want to do that, Lee? So
Eighth
let's
could work.
10:30?
call it 10:30.
That I think could work.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to set a committee of the whole meeting to discuss AP Automation Kaizen event for 10:30 on August 8th, be held in a boardroom here.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
thank you, board.
Next up, Bob.
The next item up is one that I brought to you before. This was to see whether or not the board would want to sign the petition for the creation of the Maple Lake Improvement District. Last time, if you remember, you referred this back to the planning committee. I'm not sure if they took this up or not, but.
Parks
yeah.
Parks Committee. Yes, and we did. We talked about it. We are already on a couple of other lids. The park board had said that we should continue with trying to improve the water quality wherever we can.
Absolutely. For that side of it, I'm going to make a motion that we assign, make a motion to sign the petition for the creation of a lid for the Lake Improvement District of Maple Lake.
And then, Brian, this would have to be voted on by the lake owners and by,
If they get more than 50%.
Yeah. Because you might want to walk them through the formal action.
Sure. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. If the lake owners or the people in the proposed district have more than half of the property owners sign off on the petition, it'll eventually be coming back to the board for a decision on whether or not an LID is formed. The ultimate decision is up to you. So it puts you in kind of a different position. I mean, you do have, now you're wearing your hat as a property owner, and I think it's fully acceptable for you to sign off or direct. I think the action would be to direct Bob to sign on the petition. And then at some point it may be coming back to you. If you were the one property owner that pushed it over the 50% limit, it would be awkward, but I don't get that sense. I was copied on an email last week where they're still collecting signatures, but they feel they're going to be, up in the 70, 80% range perhaps, so.
Okay.
all right,
There's strong support for it.
okay. And Derek, did you make a motion
Yeah,
already?
Yeah, I
I'll
did make
second that.
motion.
Okay,
I'd like to just add an amendment to it. I would make sure that, like, county attorney had said, that we don't be the one to push it over. I mean, we don't want to be the 51%. We want to make sure that they have a higher level.
I don't know that we know that.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I'm not sure how we would know that at this point. So, you know, the other option would be to defer or to kind of abstain, if you will, and, but I leave that up to you. Like I say, I thought about this a little bit, and I don't, because we are a property owner, because the statute says that local government can sign on the petition, we're certainly entitled to do that if we feel it would be a benefit to the lake.
We're representing all the boat users, citizens of the county that use that lake, and, I think it's, important that we, sign on it for the better quality for everybody in the county that wants to use Maple Lake. My conversations with Mike is I don't think it's going to be an issue about getting the signatures for this petition. I think my last conversation with him was right around the 4th of July, and he almost had enough at that point. So.
Brian, is it just the petition, or do they actually have a vote? Is there a vote taken?
Mr. Chair, the way the statute reads is the signatures are submitted to the county auditor's office, and then we try to, obviously, we don't have facsimile signatures of everyone out there. We may if they're a registered voter, but what we try to do is match up parcel numbers and names of owners, things like that. And then if we're over that 50% level, it comes back to the board. So they don't have a formal vote. There is a provision in the statute that if the county board chooses to form an LID, then there's like a 30 or 60-day period where people can petition for a referendum if there are, and I want to say they have to get 26% of the owners to sign off on that in order to force an actual formal vote.
A lot of safeguards.
Okay, so
we have not seen
we are
that.
going to have there will be a vote at the end with the county board to authorize this or to not authorize it as well.
Yeah.
So at that point,
Then we'll know exactly at that point how
Right.
many
Right.
people. have-
right, and if it did come in with 50 and 1 vote extra, then what you're saying is, you know what, there's a lot of opposition to it yet, maybe we need to wait, so.
And Mr. Chair,
That
in
might
fact,
not be the
there's
case at all.
there's a requirement for a public hearing, I believe. So you would be holding, assuming they get over that threshold, you would be holding a meeting at which time people would have a right to speak their minds on.
And they would be able to say, look, I didn't sign that petition and my name's on it or whatever, anything like that.
Mr.
Safeguards are
Chair,
built in to this.
Okay, yep.
Brian, because when it comes back and they get the signatures, it's going to come to Ways and Means Committee, correct? We're going to refer to there where they're going to vet out all the details as to how many members they're going to have on their lid board and so forth.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Vetch, I don't recall, it's been a while, so I don't recall what process we used last time. We rely heavily on the LID to tell us what they want. So I'm going to, in my dealings with Mike Wright and the other organizers, I think I'm going to ask them to recommend, do you want 5, 7, 9 LID board members? And do you have a slate of proposed board members? Because at the point after the public hearing, when the board makes that decision to either form or not form an LID, it's supposed to be in the order that you issue how many seats,
Okay.
what the terms are, and who serves as the initial board of directors.
But what you said, though, would be a very real possibility.
Yeah, that could work. I just, like I say, I don't think you commissioners are as close to it as they are, and so we look to them for, do you have people willing to serve and that type of thing.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Hewsome to authorize Bob to sign the petition in favor, right? Yeah, would be. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. One more, Bob.
2 more.
Yeah. Okay.
Commissioners, the first item is to approve the June budget reports. First 6 months of the year, we're looking pretty good. Our revenues are above where we're at. A lot of that is due to our boarding of prisoners. Our expenses are under budget at this point. There's a lot of stuff that happens towards the end part of the year. The first 6 months are now being incorporated into the budget books. They're being disseminated out to the departments. you know, it's easy to multiply the number times 2 to give you an idea of where we're at, but the first 6 months are closed, and I believe you got the budget reports. So are there any questions from you on the budgets?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the June revenue expenditure budget report.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighted. Further discussion? Seeing none?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Bob, I'm guessing that when I looked at the budgets, the expenses are down, I'm guessing in part because of personnel, were just a backfill lack of, or not lack of, but just unfilled personnel positions through employment.
Board Commissioners, that is true. We do have vacant positions. Now, for example, IT has positions that we haven't yet filled. There are exposures to the choices of insurance too that we have, so we have some savings there. Department 100, we still have some money yet to allocate out, but that's a part of that as well.
Okay, good. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then you had an info item up.
Yeah, Board, Becky came up to me yesterday, and she's kept me informed as we're going through this Minlars conversion. And she brought it up to me that we're anticipating quite a bit of frustration out there. And this is not just at Wright County, this is across the state of Minnesota. There are situations in which people are forced to come and get plates because of some legal matter, and they're just not going to be able to do that. So we're anticipating some frustration from the public in the fact that, not on Wright County's behalf, but all across the state, that we are shutting down the motor vehicle things. Do you want to add anything to that?
What are the 2 dates?
So she sent you a memo, and I think she pretty well outlined it to you. It's just not asking you to take action, but just appreciate that there may be frustrations. Hopefully there aren't lines. Becky currently is planning on being out in the hallway, kind of mitigate some of the people standing in line as they get up there saying, hey, you're not going to be able to do this.
Yep, good idea.
Mr. Chair.
Is there any way that they could issue just a temporary 3-day thing to, you can't? Okay. No. All right, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. This has been anticipated for a while. I had some plates due, I already took care of them, because anticipating this is coming up.
Yep.
The other thing is we need to make law enforcement aware, and I believe they are fully aware of this, any little problem that might be created by this, for that anomaly of somebody out there that can't get something for a reason. And I'm hoping that they are fully aware of this and anticipating more than likely have 1 or 2 problems out there, but not a boatload of them for them.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. I have spoken to the bailiffs, and they are anticipating either making their presence completely down there or making their presence known quite frequently. So we are anticipating that there may be some disgruntled clients that come in, but hopefully I can kind of head them off as they walk down the hall and say, you know, that this is beyond our control, this is a statewide matter, maybe help them a little bit and what can happen and what can't happen, so.
The reception, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, it's good for them to anticipate this, plus those people out that maybe are due to get plates or something at too far. You could put pictures of all the legislators on the wall there and say, those are the people you're going to talk to.
Yeah.
But then that's not really fair either for them.
You don't want your numbers out there, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, their phone numbers.
We have no control over it.
No, we don't want that, but just so they're aware of that, because, you know, some people will be frustrated. It's good for everybody to know that, hey, the state needed to do this. It was long overdue.
What do you mean? Going from the 19th century to the 20th century was long overdue? For
We're only
software
17 years
issues?
into it here, but,
No,
no, it's good to get this. We need to get it done. This is,
Notices on the doors, right? Or at least you can come up and look and say, oh, I can't get this, and turn around.
and it's been in the paper, so people.
It's been on the radio,
Out
it's
to
been on,
Potter.
yeah.
It's been on the news.
I've heard it on the news, so
It's
hopefully,
actually even been in, advertisements too.
Yeah.
The receptionist here, have you let her know too, so that when somebody asks where the license is, that she can just kind of head them off and say,
She is aware of it, but I will reiterate with her before Thursday morning, yes. On Monday, I don't know when we'll be up and going. We're waiting for a confirmation back from St. Paul that our inventory has all been accepted and confirmed. So I can't give you, if we may even get up in that day, I don't know.
well, I mean, it's not like it's a critical thing because the tabs expire at the end of the month.
Yes.
So it's not like if they're coming in now because of last month, well,
Yeah.
that's on them, that's procrastination. So that's not our problem, that's their problem.
One of the anticipations that we might have is someone who maybe has an issue and their plates are impounded, cars sitting in impound, they can't get it out because we can't give them new plates. That is a real issue out there.
Then again, that's procrastination on their part.
Well,
That's
not if it
No, not if it's
recently
impounded.
happened, so.
Well,
But it is an issue that could happen, so we do want everyone to be aware of.
that would be the exception to the rule. Now, going forward, it's gonna take longer to process stuff. Have we looked at maybe trying to figure out a better way to do it? Maybe put some tables out there or for people to fill out some of the forms ahead of time? You know, you go to some places where they give you the form and then you can go somewhere and fill them out or...
That is a real possibility, and until we know how the flow is going to come, it's really hard for us to say, well, we're going to do this and this and this. You know, we're throwing around a couple ideas of possibly having just a renewal line, okay? And then a driver's license line and possibly transfer line. But unfortunately, a lot of the customers that come in do multiple things. So how are we going to handle that? I don't want them to stand in line once to do their driver's license, then again to do their renewals. So I really just have to feel the flow, how it's going to work. But I am really open to ideas like that. And I've been reaching out to my fellow Licensed Bureau supervisors, and we're all kind of in the same boat. We're kind of like, I don't know how it's going to work, but we're going to tweak and make it the best that we can.
You know, part of the problem is we don't have any room out there either.
No, we're hallways.
Or we did go from 3 computers to 6 computers up there in anticipation of being able to handle a customer here and here at the same time, so.
Do the best we can.
And barcode readers and printers and.
Yep, yes, we've increased quite a bit.
Okay.
We'll make it work. Thank you.
Right, thank you, board.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Bob, before, and don't know if you're gonna leave, but would you put ditch 10 on the agenda for next week for redetermination?
Yes, we can do that. We have a meeting coming up here. Is it next week?
No, it's
We need the
tomorrow.
old ditch.
Tomorrow on 37?
Yep.
36.
36.
36.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we haven't already started the process of redeterminations on 10.
Hey, and I thought we had, because I remember us approving a number of them, but from my understanding, we haven't.
We had meetings, I know, on ditch 10 up at the Howard Lake at the
Okay,
middle
I
school.
will, or I'll give you an update on the status of the redetermination on Cottage.
If it's not already been ordered, Bob, maybe put it on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
Because I think we'd want to put it
Yeah,
to
I've been told it hasn't been.
Okay.
And then, another question is, do we have a room where there's a possibility that there's still some boxes of ditch records that just haven't been gone through yet at all, that Commissioner Burrell could dig through?
Commissioners, to my understanding, we've looked high and low for those records. I do know from my peers that, you know, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, when ditch committees were not the county, but by the actual landowners themselves, that a lot of records did leave the courthouses and never returned. As we're going through reestablishing our records, that's what we have to do today. That's what we're finding out is why are they missing, and
I wonder if we couldn't,
Commissioner Hughes.
Bob, can we contact, or maybe you have the townships and ask if there's any ditch records that they have in their records, or who had
Absolutely.
served on, you know, some of the town boards that maybe are no longer there, but they might be in their garage somewhere, and, yeah.
Absolutely. We'll
they-
reach out to the townships.
You wouldn't think that people would throw that away, but
Right.
But somebody could have died and the family did. Maybe we can ask the press to try and get some information out there too.
Yeah, if
To
people,
find out if, you know, anybody that has any ditch records to
Right.
please.
accurate ditch records, not what they want it to be.
yeah.
But yeah, anybody who has ditch records, if they stumble across them, if they could please forward them to us. We'll look and see if they are duplicates or if they're
Right.
actual or missing documents.
Right, yeah.
Because it'd sure be nice to find, heck, if we find one ditch record, it would save us money.
Save us a
lot.
Right.
Or save the people money.
Along that same line, again, I just want to applaud you in recognizing the need of that ditch coordinator position that you guys approved. As we go through these legal proceedings and ascertaining what we have, what we don't have, has a huge financial impact on us. Nothing like us spending a lot of time and effort on legal or staff time to find out that we're missing something. So I'm really looking forward to that position getting here.
Right. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, we're down to committee minutes. Committee of the Whole on July 11th. Commissioner Potter, you said you'd take that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee of the Whole met on July 11th. Members present: Burrell, Delyden, Hewson, Potter, Vetch, Kelly. Others present: Assison, Hebla, Kay Johnson, Jamie Goodrum Schwartz, and Sue Virgin. The discussion topic was the Wright County Transit. And we called the meeting to order 1 o'clock, and Wright County Area Transportation approached the county to provide funding of the $77,085.80 for the Operation Trailblazer. That was the local share, and it was at 2014 or 2015, it didn't read that.
2014.
2014.
Oh, I thought it
Okay.
was 15.
I thought it was 2014, but I could be wrong, it wasn't written down here. But anyway, they came by looking for that because I believe that bill was submitted to them in March. And they were looking to, you know, they've been providing, Trailblazer's been providing transportation services to Wright County, Sibley County, McLeod County here. The funds would come from the county share received from the dissolution of River Rider, estimated at $256,000. The county is required to use these funds for transit only. I've had many discussions on where this money can be used, but it needs to be for transit only. So hopefully everybody's clear on that. We did express all of us have at some point in time expressed our concerns about Trailblazer and WCAT have not been a good match, and as Commissioner Burrell would allude to, if he still gets on his soapbox again, okay, it wasn't a good fit. The problems that were predictable, foreseeable in this marriage per se, and it took a while, but it's not getting better, and the fear is that even with some minor changes, it's still not going to get any better. It's still going to be the same problems, going to be lying in the weeds for just a couple more years and come back at us again. Our preference, the consensus of the preference would be to have the county be a standalone transit system. I believe that Wright County is large enough to handle this function, and I think the local control, and I think the rides, the amount of increase in their ridership would show that we are serious about having transit in the county and doing it well. Discussion also provided some funding to WCAT, retained additional funding. I mean, of course, they'd like to get all that money, but we got to be judicious with this money, make sure we know where it's going. So the consensus was Commissioner Vetch and myself will meet with WCAT, and I did reach out to Mr. Auger from Buffalo and Kevin Castle, he's the vice chair of WCAT, to tell them our wishes to do this. So they're going to, the next meeting, they're going to appoint 2 people, and we're going to go from there to represent the county. I did talk with the city of Rockford and the city of St. Michael at their council meetings about our preference to be a standalone. So we're on record with them to know what our preference is. If it doesn't go that way, we'll still work with them, but that's our preference. And so we're going to go forward there and wait for WCAT to respond to us. The other thing is, we talked about the money there. There's discussion on the $77,000 bill, and some of it was that they should have WCAT should have some skin in the game because they know what was coming at them. So we looked at it, and the recommendation from Commissioner Potter and Vetch is they directed WCAT to consider standalone. So that's it, and inform the county at this time will contribute $50,000 towards WCAT. Because that makes the counties have a little bit of skin in this game, so they are aware of that, and shows a good faith effort in the county to help resolve this issue here. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll approve the minutes and the recommendation to contribute $50,000 to WCAT.
Mr. Houston.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that with a question.
Sure.
I meant to look it up, but is Trailblazer 2 words or 1 word? Because I was thinking it was 1 word, and so if we could make that change to, in those few places, the Trailblazer.
It's 1 word.
Is 1 word, if that is the way it is.
They're listing it as 1 word.
Yep. So,
Okay.
with those corrections, Mr. Chair.
And the motion maker is okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
the word police has caught us again.
Motion and second to approve the minutes with the recommendations and the correction to the spelling. All right, all in favor say aye.
Discussion?
Yes, go ahead, discussion.
So is there a capital B then, or is that a small b?
It says a small b. It's a small b.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
surprised you didn't catch
Further
that one.
discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Personnel Committee met on July 12th. Commissioner Leiden, would you be able to do those minutes?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Personnel Employee Relations Committee met on July 12th. Members present were Delighten, Hewsome, and Lee Kelly. Others present, Tagaro, Pollack, Riley, Stevens, and Mattice. Item 1 was the project portfolio analysis position. This is a new position that was recommended as part of the Infotech study. They have created a job description. It was sent to the consultant for rating, and it's been rated at 334 points, which places it on grade 16th of the salary schedule, which is even with the business analysts. The recommendations are to approve the position rating and authorize recruitment to fill the position in 2017. We have some funding available, so we're going to try and move forward with this. And again, this was one of the things that Infotech, it's one of the positions that rose to the top and something we needed. Item 2, staffing levels, Wright County Compost Facility. Sean Riley explained that the Central Minnesota Job Training Services has had a good working relationship with the compost facility. They've, through a program, have been providing help out there. And it sounds like the program's going to be coming to an end in the next 1 to 3 months. Stevens presented information on the number of cars, and that's that sheet that you have with no other information, but those are the amount of cars that have gone through there. This new position could help the compost manager yard during the busier months of April through November. The other month position could develop and present a recycling education and outreach program. They believe this position could be paid by SCORE funds, similar to the compost manager position. Kelly noted the proposed position is different than the current compost manager position and would not likely fit into any existing classifications. So a new job description would have to be created and given a points rating. So the recommendation on that was develop job descriptions for new positions and clarify if SCORE funds can be used to fund the position. Item 3 was to reclassify parks maintenance workers, results in a new salary range. Mattice provided an overview of the variety of duties that his department performs. He noted that over time, positions have become more technical in nature and the maintenance workers have assumed natural resource duties. The proposal would move forward park maintenance workers to the existing parks maintenance natural resource tech classification. All current employees meet the qualifications for the position. Additional addendums have been developed for the focus areas of the position. Kelly noted the union will need to be notified prior to implementation. The recommendation was to approve reclassification of parks maintenance workers to park maintenance natural resource techs. And item 4, performance review for Mark Mattice, park administrator. Based on 3 performance evaluations received, the committee recommends a rating that exceeds expectations. And with that, I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Dolan, I have one question. So with those reclassifications, those 4 positions, is that for the 2018 year, or is it retroactive? And if so, will he be over budget then for the personnel? If they, with the step of those, just because it's so many employees that are reclassified.
4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that was a question that came up about the budget, and
Yeah, I can speak to that,
Yep.
Mr. Chair. And Commissioner Vetch, the way the budget's trending, he might end up with his personnel full-time line over slightly at the end of the year, but he believes he can make the bottom number of the budget will work in the black. This would take place here in the next complete pay period after this approval. So it will be for the point going forward this year till the end of the year, and then, of course, we'll have to pick it up for the next year's budget.
it has to get approved by the union before we can move forward with it.
That is correct relative to both item number 3 that we're speaking about as well as item number 1. After today's approval, the unions will have to be notified and agree to that before we proceed forward.
So, that could take another month.
Yep.
And, yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Vetch, this process started quite some time back, I guess, with HR, and it kind of got dropped for a while, but they recognize that the technical aspects and the differences that, all these people are doing, but also to really implement some cross-training so they're able to perform, other duties also.
I agree with the reclassification. I'm just
Yeah.
curious if Mark had the
Right.
budgeted for the year, or if he was just trying to find ways to be able to make it happen now to finish out the year.
Commissioners, if I can add to that, Lee's about to present a budget amendment to you. Again, we carry funds in Department 100 in advance of reclassifications, promotions, new hires and stuff like that. So when we do that allocation, this could be included in with that, or we just do another allocation from 100 in September when we become more fully aware of the ramifications of these personnel changes.
Okay.
I'll second the.
Okay, so motion by Commissioner Deline, second by Commissioner Houston. And I did have one thing. Lee, did you have something else?
Just a comment relative to item number 2. I've had some additional discussion with Mr. Riley after the meeting, talking about the staffing need out at the compost facility, and he'd be interested in if the board would approve a temp position to fill in that interim period if necessary. We can either address that today, or we could just add it to carry this item over to the next personnel committee next
Why
week.
don't you do that? I think it'd be better to have the discussion, don't you?
Because we don't even know what the title would be or where it would be.
It would just
be a
It's a
temp position for
67 day
67 days. If it would be needed or not, we
Right.
don't have real clear information if the position's going to end at the end of July or if it's going to last through the bulk of the busy season, so it may or may not be needed. He's just looking for the ability if necessary.
If I remember correctly, they also said something about that funding may go to a different spot, so there's still a possibility, but yeah, there's still too much up in the air. But yeah, they are very busy if you look at those numbers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vehicles going through there.
And then Lee, Commissioner Vetch brought this to my attention too, but there's these nice graphs that somebody put in here that really did a lot of work, and there's absolutely no header on them. And it was like, how?
Yeah.
I mean,
What did they mean?
apparently it was the counts to the people coming into the compost, but
Yep.
there's no way, I mean, I don't know how we could decipher it, so maybe we could, if they're gonna put that much work in, put a header on and tell us what it is.
Yeah.
Get some credit for it, I guess.
Sure.
Well, I guess, to that point, before these are published, we really need to have something on there, because the public won't have any idea at all.
We can certainly do that. It's just typically been our policy that we don't modify any original documents presented
Right.
at the committee and present them as they came
Yeah.
in.
So either have him redo it, or at least handwrite it before it gets posted to the website
Okay,
for permanent minutes.
all right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Adam is not here, but Lee, do you want to?
Yes, I can definitely speak to that. I actually moved it from Adam's consent item down to here. As we discussed earlier, the Infotech study has been complete, and the IT department would like to present kind of a out report from that study. The recommended time he'd like to do this committee of the whole would be the 24th at 11 a.m. Prior to the Human Services meeting that day, if that would work.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to set a committee of the whole meeting to discuss the organizational design results from Infotech for July 24th at 11 o'clock. Meet right in here, in the boardroom here?
Yep.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Houston to set a committee of the whole regarding Infotech at 11 o'clock on July 24th. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And Commissioner Delight, you have a web committee report that you'd like to bring up?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I seen that on there.
Being as how it was your idea?
That's hell to get old. When we did the new website 3.5 years ago or so, as part of it, we got a updated or a free update improvement to the website as part of our contract with them. So we're currently going through it right now. We currently have out on the web, on our county website, a survey asking residents and any interested parties to provide us some insight on how our system is to use. We're also going to have some cards printed with the information on to be utilized at the county fair to pass out to help try and make sure that when we redo our website that it's going to be optimized for the residents, things that we can improve,
Where is that going to be at the fair?
It's going to be all over. We have a bunch of little business cards that are being printed out. Anything that has to do with the county, they're going to be just passed out.
Okay.
And then other places too. We're trying to get as much input, feedback on our existing site. We constantly are changing it. We look at search requests on our website and try and bring some of those things to the front page to make it as simple as possible. You believe it or not, the number one search request is the jail roster. Now, I don't know if that's Commissioner Vetch looking to see where his employees are, whether they didn't show up for work. And I think that's what has a lot to do with it. Can't get a hold of Commissioner Burrell. Is he
in jail?
I'd be lying if I say I'd never done that.
Well, I'd be saying I'd be a liar too if I said I had never looked either.
We're making sure we're going for mobile friendly on this, right?
Yep.
That's I think the one thing that we're missing right now is that it's not as mobile friendly as it should be.
Could be, yeah.
The tabs aren't set up right. Right now, if you bring it up on your phone, you're trying to shrink and expand things too much.
Yeah, we're going to try and do it within the contract that we have. It's trying to optimize it to make it the best. Over the time we've had some concerns, and there's a few things we haven't been able to change in these last 4 years. But going forward with the new redesign, we'll be able to make some dramatic improvements.
I just think it's gotten so friendly to use, compared to where we're at, so.
Yeah, it definitely is better than
there's,
it was.
I mean, great strides have been made, and I appreciate that.
But again, anybody that has any input, please fill out that survey, because this isn't our website, this is the website for the public. and
Exactly.
It's there to try and help them find additional information, or to make it as easy as possible for dealing with the county. There's certain things that we can't do yet because of some privacy issues regarding some of the forms, but I commend those departments that they've done a lot of different things already online that these customers or residents had to come in for. So things have improved dramatically. So it's still going to get better as time goes on.
Maybe Lee can answer my question here with this, but do we offer job interest cards through our employment on there? For those people that are, because I haven't looked at our employment there, but so we do offer job interest cards?
Yeah, it's through the NeoGov system.
It was okay.
Yeah, NeoGov system is very, very nice.
Okay.
So yeah, anytime that you have an interest, you can fill out that, and it'll email you.
Okay, sounds good. That's just informational.
Yep.
Okay, Commissioner Potter had some news or whatever from Greater MSP.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. What I'm seeking is authorization for attendance. Even though there were members of Greater MSP, we made it a point a few years ago to, when they have an event, bring it before the board so they're aware of what's going on in case somebody else wants to attend it also. We've been members of it, and it's been tough to attend a lot of their meetings because they tend to make them Tuesday morning, because the two big counties have their board meetings Tuesday afternoon. This is one where they're actually going to have it on Wednesday, August 2nd, and they say the request is to authorize attendance for this event.
I'll make a motion to authorize attendance
I'll
to
second that.
Greater MSP Deeper Dive, which I
Motion by
hears.
Commissioner Deladden, second by Commissioner Houston. Further discussion?
Yes,
Seeing-
Mr. Chair.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Susan, could I get you to register me for this? Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Seeing any, none, will all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, Highway 12 safe route to the fair. I put this on the agenda, had Lee put it on. If you remember, Derek, this might have been a little before your time, but the city of Howard Lake came to us and they were proposing a walkway from Highway 12 to the fair, which is very heavy foot traffic. And during fair time, there's a lot of people that actually, because there is no walkway, they're out on the streets, and when it's in the evening, it gets kind of dangerous. You've probably been there. But anyway, they're proposing a walkway out to the fair, and they were asking for our financial support in that, and there was some resistance on, from the board a little bit, and then they came up with a great idea. They had some leftover TIF money, and they said if we could release that money, they would not even ask us for any money and just use the TIF money, which I think we agreed to, Lee, but then we found out there were some legal things that Brian alerted us to that we couldn't do. So what the city has done basically is just given over the TIF money. That's the proper way it's done when it's left over TIF money. They just gave it to the county, and now what they're asking is if we would do that share of money toward a project to the fair. So it's a legal way of getting done what we wanted anyway, our intent. So
The money is there?
the money it's in the county already. Bob, do you know exactly how much it was, or roughly how much it was? I want to say it's...
Commissioner Burrow, I know when Tammy and I were talking to you, you mentioned 125,000. I believe that was the city share of the TIF decertification.
Okay.
The county share was about 75,000.
Okay, but whatever they turned over to us, we would be able to release for this project, because it's going to be, it's probably going to be a $300,000-400,000 project, and this would be a part of that. So, do you think right now maybe what we do is just wait for the city just to kind of submit a plan and a cost thing, and then we would take action at that time? I just wanted to get the board up to speed on it and so.
Where does on unrealized TIF money go then, when it comes to the county?
It's allocated to the general fund property tax.
So there's no stipulations on it, it's pretty much open money?
And we do, you know, I think the whole board realized that this is a good project. It would make it a lot safer and stuff. It's just the cost of it, and this was a way that the city came up with, a way to help fund it, so.
Is this project going to be a city project, or is it going to be a county
It'll
project?
be a city project.
Okay.
Yep. And actually, well, it'll be I take that back. It will be in conjunction with the county but there'll be the city funding it totally that way.
So they're bidding it then?
Yep, because they are redoing County Road 6 through there, and I think it will maybe be incorporated at that time, so. I'm not positive on that though, Derek, so. Okay.
That's this fall.
Right, yeah, so this probably will be coming back to us relatively soon, but I wanted to put it out there on the radar screen for people, so. All right, it was just informational for now. All right, advisory committee, advisory board updates.
Mr. Chair, I'll start off.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I-94 Coalition met last Thursday. We went through some of the things with the federal updates and this and that. 610 Brockton funding, which is, anybody knows that when 610 opened up, they didn't have an auxiliary lane long enough to merge the traffic, so it made it even worse than it was before.
I'm sorry, where at? Oh, it's
610. 610 coming westbound onto 94.
Yeah, I see
Anybody
that.
who takes that knows it got worse. So MnDOT in their infinite wisdom is mulling through ways to fix that. They're moving at snail's pace at best.
Hopefully they'll get rid of the engineer that designed it.
Yeah,
Or send them back to school.
I as one failed to understand why they couldn't anticipate this issue. It's similar to when they did 101 exiting to Rogers, why that turn lane wasn't extended like it was. It was in there, the original plans, they dropped it off only to put it back later because, oh my God, look at this, we got a problem, it's backing up on the freeway. Anyway, that's one of the things they're doing. Quarters of Commerce timeline, we also discussed about how they're doing this, but again, it's as clear as the crow how they're going to do. I'm starting to feel that their MnDOT is going to do, along with the legislature, is going to do earmarks again. It depends on who's down there barking the loudest and who's got the ear of different legislators, especially the chairs and vice chairs of different ones. Keeping my head in the game there, but we're kind of at a sort of a disadvantage here because the 14 Coalition for One is been vocal, and they have a lot of people stacked up on those transportation committees. The other thing is that you found out with the MnDOT, we had tried to propose pushing 94 on the fast lane and the FAST Act for the federal money, and trying to get information out of MnDOT is like pulling teeth. Nobody wants to say anything. They're either under a gag order or they're just ignorant to what's going on. But I have been able to find out that each state was able to submit 3 projects for the list for the feds. And it turns out that I-94 was the bridesmaid, number 4. Trying to get through what the top 3 projects were. They're still kind of iffy on that, but it's leaning towards 2 projects in Duluth and 1 in St. Paul is what it's looking like, but I've got to get confirmation of that. Still trying to scratch your head how we could be the 4th one with the worst congestion in the whole state. It kind of defies logic, but...
Yeah, there you go again.
It defies, oh, absolutely. So they're...
Thinking that they deal with logic.
And the thing is that being that 94 is the bridesmaid on this, they have some freight money for lanes, deadline August 30th, and the TED money's September 15th, so it's kind of mulling over what we can do. How can we convince MnDOT that, you know, what you had there was not reasonable, it should have been changed, but it's kind of like banging your head against the wall. The I-94 Coalition will be taking a trip out to D.C. to meet with the legislators September 13th and 14th, which coincides the same day as the AMC fall policy, so I would not be able to attend the 94 because being a chair of transportation infrastructure, I kind of should be there for that. hopefully they'll be able to go out there and make some sense. We're very fortunate that Jason Lewis, representative, got on the Transportation Committee, one of very few freshmen to ever do that. And it's a breath of fresh air knowing we have two people on that committee out there. And so it's not just East Coast, West Coast. So our time to strike is now keeping their face in that. They're aware of the issues out there, and hopefully that Mr. Lewis will be able to come up to 694 or 94 and a 610 and see what these issues are here and help with the push in this. Again, I want to reiterate that Congressman Tim Walz did not sign our 94 coalition agreement and had talked with some commissioners down that way. And this is a gentleman that's running for governor and wouldn't sign it because he thought it would hurt Highway 14's standing in there, which is kind of not true. I thought it was kind of a cop-out for that. And all the cities, all the way from Maple Grove to St. Cloud, are fully aware of that, his failure to be part of this. We didn't expect Keith Ellison's support at all because he's Metro. But the thing is that if you're running for governor, you'd think you'd want to try to support the whole state, not just part of the state. So that is a disappointment there. So hopefully he will be told and see the light, maybe come back around to supporting this. Anyway, that's all I have with that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
All right. Well, three of us were at the Township Officers Annual Meeting last Wednesday night at Middleville, and we had our great pork chop dinner, which is always a treat. But a lot of information from the legislators, and also sheriff and county attorney and Virgil with Highway Department, and so it was a good meeting.
Birthday boy.
And yeah, Virgil was a birthday boy, but he wouldn't let us sing happy birthday.
And no spanking machine or nothing.
Did you have anything you want to throw in about the
No, just the
township
food was great.
officers and
Sheriff Haggerty brought out some jelly rolls and whatever, so
Oh, okay.
sweet rolls for us
Let
too.
the record reflect that Sheriff Haggerty did wear his brown shirt, so not to get stains from the pork chops. I understand from history he did that the first time he wore the whites there and found out that that's probably not appropriate for that. Again, with that, I did like with Lyle from Matt's explanation of the transportation funding, how it fell way short of what it should have been. You know, and the kind of the despair within the townships and everybody else that, you know, this really isn't addressing our problems. But all in all, I thought it was really great. And it was hosted was in Middleville. It's a nice building they had there.
it was.
And they're a great group of people to talk with, you know, and they are listening. I think they're starting to get used to us now, as they've had
4.5 years.
Yeah, after the first couple times out there, they were kind of, you know, coming at us pretty hard, but I think they're starting to get used to us.
Yeah. No, it's always good information sharing, so anyway. And then I was at the Safe Communities of Wright County meeting last Friday, and the mission of Safe Communities is to reduce traffic crashes in the Wright County area in order to minimize injuries and fatalities. And we discussed that the Department of Public Safety has been against diversion programs in the state, and it's publicly known that our Drive Right program and Teen Drive Right programs are coming to an end. The last class will be on August 1st, but the parent-teen presentations are continuing. They also are receiving a $26,000 grant, which was wonderful. So it's a grant from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety for traffic safety projects from October 1st, 2017 through September 30th, 2018. And also to let everyone know that the Minnesota High Visibility Enforcement for Speed continues through the 23rd, from July 7th through the 23rd. We've been very fortunate to have reduced the fatalities in this county that were double digits until not too many years ago. So, of course, one fatality is too many, but when you're getting numbers down from 16 down to 4 or 5 so far, that's a plus. And all the education, I think, educational efforts and things like getting cab services for people who are at bars, and there's just been a lot of good success with what Safe Communities of Wright County have done. But
is that Safe and Sober still going on? The sober cab?
Sober cabs, yes.
That still is happening?
Yep. It's changed. They used to basically, to get them going, basically we're giving them a voucher. We haven't talked about that too much the last couple of meetings, but the bar owners themselves are
more heavily involved.
Yeah.
They see it as a benefit.
Yep. So
good.
We haven't. Yeah, that's a good thing. I should ask about that again. We just haven't talked about it for the last couple of meetings. But
Charlie, do they have it up in your part of the county?
It was St. Michael was pretty much started, and then they were working with Monticello, and between Otsego and Elk River, that was Buffalo. It didn't take off as much, but certainly the cabs are available for people, so, yeah.
Anything else?
Yep.
Okay. And I just wanted to make an announcement that tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we're having the Ditch 10 water quality drainage meeting. We hired the engineering firm to come up with ideas how to improve water quality while still maintaining drainage, and that will be at 7 o'clock at the Victor Town Hall. And then also wanted to make a note that a week from tomorrow, the Wright County Fair will start in Howard Lake. So that's it. All right.
Derek took my thunder.
Oh, sorry.
No,
hey, Chris took mine about the Township Officers Association, so that's the way it works. You want to start out next time, you speak up.
I think we're going to next year.
Yeah.
Next week.
Start that in.
Last Tuesday afternoon, I'm on the mental health task force, and we met. A couple of things that keeps rising to the top is the shortage of beds for those in need. So they're staying in emergency rooms until a bed can be found for them. And Monticello just put in Center Care, I think it was 5 beds, or maybe it was 10. But those are only for 55 and older. So Charlie, you and I are covered. For those those are that in need. Currently, there's a couple of beds that are being used. They're still waiting for some of the paperwork to go through from the state, because that all has to be approved by the state and stuff. So that's one of the biggest issues. We're sending kids to, and even adults, to North Dakota or up in Hibbing, always places for mental health issues, because there's just nothing around here at all. I keep offering the old jail for somebody to take up and use, but nobody's ever bitten on it yet.
No, we can't do it.
And then, as Charlie mentioned, tomorrow at Victor Township, but Charlie and I met with Soil and Water last week on Wednesday afternoon to review the things that are going to be talked about. This company was very impressive, the company that was hired, and it's a joint effort between Wright County Soil and Water and Wright County for improving water quality going into Lake Ann and to make those ditches go. But they did a flyover using a drone over all of Ditch 10. And we've seen lots of different pictures, and it was really impressive without having them go out boots on the ground for everything. But you could just see some of the places where there was no buffers, and that washouts were just dramatic. and you could see some plumes going into the lake during a heavy rain. It was really neat, but the whole idea behind this is to try to improve that water quality going into that, and also provide the best drainage practices.
And flood control.
Flood control, absolutely, flood control. Because right now, when they have a heavy rain out there, it just all goes into the lake, and then the lake fluctuates.
People's properties.
There's, they have some great ideas, I would have to say, so far. Don't you think so, Charlie?
Yep, they just need to come up with a couple more, but I talked to them.
Yeah, Charlie has some additional ideas for him, but, and some of them actually make sense. Some don't, but that's all right. That's Charlie.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
would it make sense for us to inform the public there may be more than 2 commissioners there at Victor Township? Because even though it's not an official meeting, make them aware that we might be there as just listening.
Correct, yes, and I believe we discussed that at last board meeting, that it was
think we
going to be an
authorized
item to
attendance
authorize
even.
attendance.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's clear that we're letting them know, because if they see 3 commissioners there, what are you doing here?
Right.
No, I think we authorized attendance.
Thank you.
And then on Friday, we had Bertram Lake, but I'm not going to steal Commissioner Vetch's thunder, so
Oh, that's nice.
we'll let him talk about Bertram Lake.
All right.
Okay, Commissioner Vetch.
Well, we met on Friday morning for Bertram Advisory. We kind of got an update on our beach house, which is, anybody's interested in looking at the floor plans. This is going out for bid this month. Right now, we're tentatively looking that we might be 10 to 20,000 over budget. However, we haven't put it out for the actual bids yet. We stand a good chance with some alternate bids to be able to get this hopefully back online, but we'll find out that here during August, somewhere mid-August, how that all shakes out.
No, I think they're planning on building that this fall.
This is fall, but we should be able to get the bids though. We'll know where we're at as far as the bids
Yep.
mid-August to find out if we can kind of maybe shave down that gap. Mark has some other possibilities that we can get it close to.
Mark Mattice.
Mark Mattice, I should say. Also, Friends of Bertram, if you haven't, you can actually become a friend of Bertram now for a $20 donation or more if you voluntarily would like to. Basically, this is the way the Friends of Bertram decided to be able to make contributions to Bertram Lake via this membership. Basically, all the funds go into it to make upgrades, different educational purposes for the park. They're already off and rolling and making a donation here already with a refrigerator out to the chalet.
One more thing about that. If you actually go on their website of friendsofbertramlakes.org, one of the gentlemen that is on that, with that group, has a bunch of history on Bertram Lake. Back when it was mined for gypsum?
Yeah.
Was it gypsum? No,
Well, I know they
remember.
get gypsum out of caves, but
anyway, it was mined in the early 40s, I think it
Oh, wow.
was, or 50s, on one of the lakes. Not gypsum, but I can't recall now what it was. But anyway, there's some really neat history regarding that whole area over there.
And they also kind of put out their new, we had the individual which we heard from earlier, contracted from the U of M to do informational maps. This is all about the kind of glacier formation of the Bertram Park itself. If you want to look at that, that's kind of a interesting piece as well that we kind of reviewed. We also got an update. The city's portion of the park, the soccer fields, is extremely, I would use the word extremely popular. I mean, there's gonna be, what, is it this weekend, upwards of 1,000 out there?
Last
Or last weekend, there was 1,000 people out there?
They had a tournament, and that tournament's going to be going on for the next number of years.
Number of
It's a
years.
regional tournament.
And it's supposed to grow and then as we get more fields, so it's, that park's a pretty substantial usage already. It's in its infancy, so that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and those soccer fields are just temporary, really. But yeah, they've been having some parking issues out there.
There's lots of
Already.
ropes. Let's just say we have lots of ropes trying to keep people parking in the right areas.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been heavily used, and this coming
That's what
weekend
made this great.
Yes.
is the Bertram Blast, which is that triathlon, which is very unique in the state, because it uses mountain biking, swimming,
In hike, well, it's like a trail run.
yeah,
Yeah.
trail run, biking, and swimming,
Swimming.
mountain biking,
No run?
and running.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those three things, right, which is a little bit different.
The mountain biking is just the most uniqueness to it, because most of them
Yeah.
are all road.
Yeah, and from my understanding is Commissioner Burrell is slated to come in at last place this year.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Unless I have my golf cart.
I want to see that in the water.
All right,
Is that it?
that's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner
One last
Potter.
item.
Yep.
Last Sunday, I attended the Monticello Parade for former Commissioner Pat Swatsky. That was Citizen of the Year and Grand Marshal. It was a great day, well attended. They say it was down a little bit in numbers from years past, but the weather might have had something to do with it. But I just want everybody to know that there was no rotten eggs or rotten tomatoes thrown at him at the beginning, and I saw him at the end. He was clean all the way through, so it was a nice parade. It was a well-deserved honor for Mr. Swatsky.
And Mr. Swatsky was a fair judge in the pie eating contest. I got third, so, you know.
Wow.
I tell you, first place was a really hard one to win. I know, I was about halfway done
Was
with my pie.
Haggerty in it?
No.
Joe?
He was not.
He won.
Pie eating?
Yeah.
Yep, who can eat
Joe
your
wins
pie the
those things.
fastest.
Pretty good. Okay.
So if you had to taste your pie, you might have been able to eat it faster?
I guess.
So, anything else from the board? Judith, did you have anything? or- Okay, all right, seeing none. Leah, anything else?
No, sir.
Seeing no other business, we are adjourned at 10:11.